Hello and welcome to Open and Shut Book Reviews. My name is Ken and today I'm going to be talking to you about The Witch Elm by Tana French. Or maybe it's Tana. Don't know. Haven't heard it pronounced. So it's a good book. Not my usual thing, but I found myself very engaged, and I have a few quibbles that I'll discuss later, but by and large I will go ahead and recommend this book to you. So the main plot is this character named Toby who does PR work for a small art gallery, and yes, I know that this is the third book in a row that I have reviewed that has something to do with the art world, and that's not intentional. I don't know how this keeps happening to me. And he's this kind of happy-go-lucky guy whom everything just kind of falls into place for. He's not a super popular jock in school, but popular enough, does okay in his dating life, and basically, if he ever gets into trouble, he's a smooth talker, and he can easily just, talk his way out of anything. He's just a charmer. Not a bad guy, just kind of a go-along to get along kind of guy. And then you have his girlfriend, Melissa, who's a very nice girl, extremely intelligent, as near as I can tell, works in some sort of a thrift store or some sort of a vintage clothing store. Does pretty well. They've been together for a while. And then the other main character is Toby's uncle, Hugo, who plays a huge part in the story. So as the story opens, Toby is coming back from a night out with his friends. Lots of drinking. And by the way, this whole thing is set in Ireland. And I don't know if you have this problem, but sometimes when I was listening to the characters in my head, I kept losing the accent. So anyway, back to the story. He comes home from a night of drinking with his friends, doesn't end up going over to Melissa's place, just goes over to his own apartment. He's woken up in the middle of the night. He surprises two burglars who beat the crap out of him, almost kill him, and just bash his head in, quite literally. And he barely survives. But when he finally comes to, he's not really the same person. This was the first part about the book that I loved, because I have become acquainted with studies on victims of severe head trauma and how they do often change. Their personality changes. They're not always the same person that they were before the injury. The description of his recovery as he heals seemed very authentic to me. I can only guess that either the author knows someone who's been through something traumatic, who's had that traumatic brain injury, or she is just fantastic at her research. That whole part was engaging and fascinating and scary. Can't imagine what that would feel like. So in fact, the whole assault that takes place in his apartment was really hard for me to get through. I had a very emotional response to that section. So that happened to me a few times in this book. So yes, it's a good book, and the author knows what she is doing. Very good. So then the story picks up to where he's been assaulted, and he's trying to recover from his injuries, and then he gets the call that his uncle Hugo, who's his favorite uncle from when he was a kid, is dying of brain cancer. And so he and his girlfriend Melissa move in with Hugo, and Hugo lives in this beautiful multi-level manor-esque kind of place that has this overgrown wild garden in the back with this huge elm tree in it, and he spent a lot of time there as a kid with his cousins, so he has very fond memories of Hugo, of the house itself, which all of the relatives refer to as the Ivy House. And so he ends up trying to take care of Hugo while he's recovering, and Melissa, his girlfriend, is kind of helping take care of both of them. And that's a really sweet part of the book. It's probably my favorite section of the book, is the relationship between those three. And then there's a discovery made in the garden of the Ivy House that completely upends everybody's lives, and it's just all downhill from there. It gets really horrible really quick. It's good. It's a good book. So I think it goes a little long. I think there are some serious pacing issues in there, and I think there's an entire third act that honestly I don't know that it needed to happen. If you remember The Lord of the Rings when it came out, and how the biggest complaint was the multiple endings, how it seemed like, oh, it's ended, finally, it's over. Wait, no, crap, there's more. And it just kept ending and ending and ending. I got that feeling from this book, so that's kind of a big quibble. For the rest of it, for me to fully unburden myself, you know what time it is. We have to go to the spoiler couch. Okay, so as far as spoilers go, I think the whole third act, which felt more like a fourth act, really didn't need to happen. I don't think that Toby needed to kill Detective Rafferty. I thought that whole part was just unnecessary, and everything that followed after it. I mean, I didn't want anything bad to happen to any of them, and I certainly understand where Susanna, the cousin who actually killed Dominic, was coming from and why she did it, and it made sense that Leon would have helped her, but I think they're, I don't know how to feel about those two. They're not exactly likable characters, which sucks because I loved the vision in my head of the three of them, you know, being close as kids and playing together in that big rambling house. And I just felt so bad for Hugo. I mean, what a wonderful man Hugo is, to realizing he has, you know, terminal brain cancer and probably wouldn't ever spend any time in a prison cell, to just step up and take the blame for killing Dominic when everybody thinks that Toby did it. Now, the way that Rafferty went after Toby, just because of his demeanor after the mugging, after the robbery assault, because he's got the droopy eye and kind of the slurred speech, and he kind of shuffles along now as he walks, and that he was going to use all of that against Toby if it ever went to court, because the jury would automatically look at him and the fact that he couldn't remember anything, that his memory was garbage and he was always changing the story, and that he stammered a lot and couldn't really make eye contact with people, as all of signs of guilt. And so he was using Toby's fear of something like that, of actually going to trial and being perceived badly by the jury, as a way to really just push his buttons. And of course Rafferty was doing that to get Hugo to confess, because he thought that Hugo actually was the one who murdered Dominic. But of course we learned later that it wasn't. It was actually Susanna, the cousin. But yeah, it just went on too long. And of course I wanted Toby and Melissa to end up together, and if it had been me in Toby's position, I would have followed Melissa up the stairs. I would have packed my stuff right along with her and went back to her place or took her back to my place. I would have not just thrown that relationship away based on a curiosity, based on just a need to unravel this mystery, as Melissa rightfully pointed out. No good came of learning the truth about anything that had happened. And so yeah, I just felt like the ending was really anticlimactic and quite horrible. And I felt bad for Toby, but I was also angry at him because he made all the decisions I would not have made. And you know, ignorance is bliss. I didn't actually picture anybody famous to cast in any of these roles, so yeah, I won't be doing that section in this video. So I think we're done here in the spoiler couch, though. That's it. Let's go on over here now. So yeah, it's a good book. Like I said, there are pacing issues. I don't agree with a lot of the plot twists towards the end. It just felt like it got a little too convoluted, and it's like she decided she had to embody M. Night Shyamalan for the last act, and didn't really need that. So the ending wasn't all that satisfying for me, but There's enough good stuff, there's enough good character development, the mystery is engaging enough, and the characters and the house, which is its own character, are enough to, I think, make this recommendable. I'd give it like a solid B+. So on that note, I will go ahead and put the links to this book in the description box down below for you. If you have any books you would like me to review or any questions for me at all, please feel free to send them to me, ken@openandshutreviews.com. And that's it. Until next time, I'm Ken McKim. You take care and read more books.